Hello guys, good morning. Welcome to the Kafka series. In this tutorial, I will cover the Kafka consumer groups. Then I will explain how the Kafka consumer groups works in the Kafka architecture. Then we will go with some Kafka consumer commands. Then I will show you the live examples of Kafka consumers, how it works in the production. Let's get started. In the Kafka consumer, you already know that what is the consumer, right? It consumes the data from Kafka topics, right? Let's say if you are creating a consumer, and then if you want to create the consumer, then you can add into some consumer groups. Okay. So, so let's say what is the Kafka consumer groups actually, and when we will create the consumer groups and how it benefits in our applications. Okay. So consumer group is a set of consumers, okay? So which will consume the data from some topics. So let's say the consumers that are part of the same applications, okay, and they are performing the same logical jobs. They can be grouped together. So as a Kafka consumer groups, okay. So we can say it's a parallel thing in the same application, right? Like a multi-threadings. So let's say if each consumer present in the group reads the data directly from the particular partitions. Okay. So let's say if you have a multiple consumers, then it never happened that two consumers is reading from the same partitions. Okay, for the same topic. So let's say if we'll add a new consumer or if we'll remove the new consumer from the consumer group, then it automatically rebalanced. So let's say we have some partitions in our topic. So if you'll add a new consumer, then it will automatically assign a particular partitions from that topic. But let's say if the consumers is more than the partitions, then what happened? So if we let the new consumer in that consumer group, then it becomes inactive. Okay, it sits like a idle. It won't do anything. So how consumers will automatically rebalance, right? So it grouped automatically. So it used the group coordinator and one consumer coordinator, right? So which will automatically assign the partitions to the consumers. So now let's say when any consumer reads the data from the particular partition, it records the offset into a topic called consumer underscore offsets. Okay. So whenever it let's say the consumer one broken or consumer one removed, okay, then how the other consumer know that for this particular partition data is read till now, till that offset, right? So that information we will get it from the consumer offset. Okay, so that's why there won't be any data loss and there would be no duplicates. Okay, so let's go with an examples. Okay, so we'll get the actual understanding how it works. Okay, so let's say we have a topic, my topic. Okay, so that has a four partitions right now. Okay, and in the consumer groups, let's say my group. So currently we have a single consumer, so which is reading the data from all four partitions right now. Okay, so it's a single thread like. Now let's say if we'll add one more consumers in that group, right? So then what happened? So let's say we have added one more consumer. So now the consumer one will reads the data from let's say P1 and P2. and consumer 2 will read the data from P2, P3 and P4 partitions for that particular topic. Okay, so it reads in parallel, right? So the performance they become faster. Now let's say what if we'll add four consumers in the same application. Then each of them will read from a single partitions. Now it's more scalable. Okay. Now let's say if we'll add one more consumer in the application for the same group, consumer group, consumer 5. So it becomes idle. It won't read anything from the partitions. Okay. Now let's say if the consumer one removed now. Okay. So if consumer one removed now, then the consumer 5 become active. Okay, and it reads the data from that partition where the consumer one left. And how consumer 5 know that from where till last offset the consumer one read it or committed. So that we know from that topic consumer underscore offset. Okay, then it start reading from that particular partitions from that particular offset. So let's say like this. So consumer 1 are removed. So now consumer 5 become active and it reads from the P1 partition P1 from the last offset where consumer 1 left. So I hope now it give at least basic understanding about how the consumer groups work and where to use this use the consumer groups. So let's go and see the Kafka consumer commands. Okay. Okay. So let's say I want to read the message from a topic from the beginning. So we will use the let's say Kafka console consumer batch file. Okay. So and from this particular broker list, so let's say localhost 9092, and from this topic my topic I want to read the data, and from where I want to read from the beginning, right? So from the starting I want to read the data from this particular topic, so we'll give the hyphen from beginning. But let's say I want to read the data from a particular offset, right? So in that case what we can do, we can just give the hyphen offset 5. So read the data from that particular offset from this topic my topic. Okay. So as we have discussed the consumer groups, right? So now let's say how I can add this consumer into a particular consumer group. Okay, so you can give the name like a hyphen group and that consumer group name. So it will add that consumer into that particular group, consumer group. Okay. Now, let's say someone said, I want to read from multiple topics, right? So, how I can read the data from multiple topics for a single consumer? Okay, so you can give the topics in a comma separated into the topic list, right? So, hyphen topic, topic 1, comma topic 2, or whatever the topics you have, you can add. So now let's say I don't want to read the message from the beginning or any offset. I just want to read the message when I have created this consumer application. So after that, if any CDC data is there, then just read those only. Okay. So in that case, we won't give any offset or from beginning for this particular topic. Okay. So now let's say I want to deserialize the message which I got it. So we can give the like a hyphen key deserialization and whatever the serialization method we are using. Okay. Now let's go to the Kafka consumer groups command. Okay, so inside the Windows, we have a Kafka consumer groups batch file. Okay, so we can use this bed file to get anything related to the Kafka consumer groups. Okay, so let's say I want to list all the consumer groups are present in our particular brokers. Okay, so we can give the broker list and then hyphen hyphen list. So it will give the list of all the consumer groups. Now I want to describe that consumer group. Okay, so what we can say hyphen hyphen describe and then hyphen hyphen group and that group name. So it will give the details about that group, how many topics are there, how many consumers are there. Okay, and which partition it's reading from the. So let's go with an live examples. Okay, so first we will start with zookeeper. Okay. Okay, so zookeeper is started now. Now let's start the broker. So let's start this. Okay. So now broker is started. I mean server is started. Okay. So in the last video, we have created two topics, test and my test. So let's first describe those topics. Okay. So a topic, um, topic, my test. So we have a four partitions for this my test. Okay. Now let's create the consumers. Okay. So first we will see if is there any consumer groups already exist or not. Okay. So consumer groups hyphen hyphen list on that particular broker. Okay. So right now there is no consumer groups exist. Okay, so let's create a consumer and we will add that consumer to a consumer group. Okay, so let's say consumer my test. Okay, then let's give the group name as my group. Okay. So what this command will do, it will create a consumer on the topic my test, and inside a consumer group whose name is my group. Sorry, there is a typo. Okay, so now it created the consumer and added into the my group. So let's check. Let's see the list of consumer groups right now. So you can see my group is created. Now let's describe this first. Okay, so let's group. So here there is no consumer ID, there is zero host, and client ID is this. Okay. Now let's create a client. Sorry, a consumer. I mean, let's run the consumer right now. Yeah. So here you can see there is a consumer, right? So all these four partitions, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. So that has been used by the consumer ID. This, so same consumer ID you can see here, right? So all those four topics, four partitions has been used by the single consumer. So let's create one more consumer now. Okay. Same topic, right? My test. And which group? My underscore group. Let's verify the command first. So console consumer bed my topic localhost. Okay. So now we have created one more consumer. So let's go back and let's see. Again, run this. Describe this group. Okay. Yeah. So now see here in the consumer ID, right? So here you have a two consumers. Okay, you can see two different consumer IDs here. Uh, E08383 1E. So now these two consumers are reading from the partitions 2 and 3, and first consumer is reading from the partitions 0 and 1. Okay. So now you got an basic understanding about the how the Kafka consumer groups work. Okay, and where to use this. Okay.